If you run a subscription-based e-commerce brand, then you've probably heard the myth, yes, the myth, that you should never email your active subscribers because you'll cause them to churn and you'll lose millions of dollars in monthly recurring revenue. Let me tell you, after working with over 50 subscription-based brands from 7 figures to high 9 figures, this is one of the most dangerous myths that can stop you generating millions of dollars in incremental revenue for your subscription business. But the truth is, the origin of this myth does actually come from a good place, and there is some nuance to this. Yes, if you email active subscribers at the wrong part of the customer journey, you can cause them to churn, and this will lose you a lot of money. But at some stage, it turns from a churn risk to a lifetime value opportunity. And it's knowing when to start to communicate with these customers that will lead to the biggest opportunity your subscription brand currently has without acquiring new customers. So the key is to know when to actually step in and try to cross-sell and upsell these customers. And that's what I'm going to show you in this video today with real life examples that we've ran for our clients. Because ultimately, if you just stay in defensive mode forever, then you are massively restricting your ability to scale your brand. So let's get right into the juice, and I'll show you the practical examples, when to contact customers and critically when not to contact them, so that you can increase your lifetime value and also reduce churn as well. Let's get right into it.
Okay guys, step inside my office, and to begin with, we are going to look at this retention curve. Now, if you are managing a subscription-based business, you're probably already familiar with this view, and this is going to show you when you need to switch from defensive to offensive, ultimately changing your objective from churn reduction to maximizing the amount of recurring AOV, or average revenue per user as it's commonly called in SaaS. And why is this graph important? It's critical because if you look, you will consistently see the same type of churn behavior in DTC, specifically around month 0 to 3, when most of the churn happens during that period. And this is where the origin of the myth that we discussed previously came up, that you should never email your active subscribers. Now, look carefully what happens after month 3. The retention curve flattens. It's at this point in time that you can assume someone is relatively happy with the subscription, and your objective needs to change from churn prevention to upselling and driving that lifetime value. Now, even if you are selling bigger subscriptions, you can just change month 0, month 1, 2, 3 to order 1, 2, 3. In fact, most of the time, I do actually prefer to look at the subscription by orders, because obviously people can skip, they can pause, and this can skew this graph because they might not have been billed again. So always try to toggle it, not just from the month view to the order number as well, because again, not everyone sells subscriptions on 30-day increments. A lot of the brands that we work with sell 60, 90 days up front, and I'm going to come on to that as a strategy shortly. But overall, the cornerstone message is when someone gets to month 3 or order 3, churn flattens off and the curve stabilizes. It's at this point in time you need to start looking at upselling and driving lifetime value from your best customers. The habit's been built, they're happy with the product, they're not surprised when it turns up at the front door every month. So why wouldn't you go in to try and drive those upsells and cross-sells? This is your biggest opportunity. So in the next section, I'm going to show you some specific examples that we've ran for our clients that you can apply yourself. But first, let's look at a basic segmentation strategy that we could apply using this graph as our guidance. So when it comes to segmentation for most subscription brands, there is obviously a lot of segments that you can create, like any brand, but I like to keep things very simple, and nearly all the brands I work with, I have a basic framework that I would say 90% of the time we're using. You essentially just want to separate your prospects, one-time customers, because not everyone subscribes, as well as your previous churned or lapsed subscribers into one bucket. And your goal with this segment is to try and get as many people as possible from this cohort onto an active subscription. Now, these are safe people to email with all your basic offers, any type of content, any promotions, anything really to try and get them onto that active subscription, because they don't have an active subscription, so they can't be a churn risk. So anytime a lead goes into the system in Klaviyo or whatever ESP that you're using, try to send them as many campaigns as possible to get them onto a subscription as the default core offering. Now, critically, you can see here, we're not emailing all active subscribers with these concepts. We are segmenting people based on the retention curve that we talked about in the previous section when someone gets that third order threshold. Absolutely critical. So people who have just started the subscription, until they reach that month free or order free threshold, they are not receiving our basic campaigns. They might get the onboarding flow that drives habit formation and teaches them how to use the product, as well as everything else, but they are not receiving the daily or the weekly campaigns, depending on the cadence. This is because the churn risk is highest, and these customers are not settled. They might not necessarily be using the product every day. And to call a spade, every email or marketing communication that you get is a reminder to cancel, or at least instigates that they might be able to do that. And 70% of portal visits, you have to remember, are with intent to cancel. So we want to reduce that during this period until that stabilizes, as we've already discussed. Now, when someone hits that third order threshold, how often should we email them? Well, you don't need to email them with every single campaign like you do in these concepts, for example. So if we just take this kids multivitamin brand, you can see here some mock-up concepts. How to make sure your child isn't vitamin deficient. Okay, this is just general content that adds value and nurtures people. We can send that to all people who are in the prospects, one-time purchases, and lapsed subscribers. 15 essential vitamins inside our multivitamin. Again, same segment. The importance of taking a daily multivitamin. So if they are product related, you can send it to these people. Now, when it comes to the active subscribers with 3+ orders, you need to be a little bit more strategic. And you don't need to email these people, as I've just said, every single week or every single day. But I would recommend curating 1 to 2 offers every single month to try and add another product into their subscription. And I'll show you an example of this in a minute. But we've had a huge amount of success identifying low-cost SKUs where the margin is very high, and then even giving it away to the customer for free, and then it renews with the next subscription. So this is a really great way to add new products and get customers to experience them. It's really de-risked, and you're getting a lot of product in hands, and a lot of customers, if they like the product, will go on to renew them. It works especially well with supplement brands, which, if we're being honest, is probably 80% of subscription brands these days. So this is just a mock-up of segmentation, how I would approach it, and I'll show you some specific examples as we move down the boards now of what you can send to customers. So I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on this section because it's pretty self-explanatory, but I am going to show you some examples. So for Higher Health, most of the customers are coming through on the hero product, which is the multivitamin, but they also have these complementary products in the assortment. So you would send self-explanatory campaigns like, hey, we hope you're enjoying the multivitamin. Why don't you try the probiotic too? Now is the right time to add it to your kids stack. Basic cross-sell educational email. Try and use the quick action links within Recharge, Skill, Loop, whatever subscription software that you're using to automatically redirect people to the checkout where they can easily add it into their cart or subscription. You can see here for Living Good Daily, these are some great examples where we run challenges for them. They can build their own bundles. So there's lots of cool things that you can do depending on what brand you actually have. There's a lot of education around supplements that bodes well with these type of ideas where you can say, you're using this, you're getting great results, you're building a habit. Now is the right time to add this into the mix as well. So again, for supplement brands, if you have a large product catalog, there's so many ideas where you can add complementary upsells and cross-sells into their order. This is one from our client Corexico. As you can see here, we are emailing people who have the collagen subscription, and we're saying, hey, now is the right time to add vitamin D3 plus K2 into your stack. And this is really powerful because it comes from the founder. So plain text emails work especially well here as well. I recommend adding these into the mix. And if we scroll along here, this is not a subscription brand, but it's great designs and it's the same concepts that we ran for Big Blanket. When someone buys the big blankets, obviously we want to get them onto the bedding product. So you just have to identify the commonalities in the product catalog, look for what will complement their existing subscription. Obviously, if you have a very big product assortment, this can get quite convoluted. So I don't recommend creating dozens and dozens of permutations. Just identify the hero SKUs where 80% of people are going onto the subscription, and then look at the logical cross-sells, because otherwise you're going to end up with this Frankenstein monster of so many post-purchase flows in the account. So slight segue into another topic, but something just to be aware of that I have seen many times before can end up with a mess, even though you might have the best intentions. Another educational email example here from Umzu. So you get the point with these, as well as this one from Bliss. You're using this product, so experiment with adding these into your skincare regime. Logical cross-sells, as well as product education emails, trying to get them to build on existing habits and rituals are the way to go with this. We don't need to overcomplicate things when it comes to campaigns. Now let me show you something special when it comes to the order upcoming email that you might not have thought about before, because again, everyone's thinking about this. If I send a billing reminder, it's going to cause people to churn, but I'm going to show you a super cool way that you can drive upsells with the order upcoming email. So stay tuned for the next section. Have you ever seen something as cool as this before using AMP technology from Zamo, who's one of our software partners? You can set up these super cool widgets inside the email where you can automatically add complementary products into your existing subscription. So here's an example from Magic Mind. But important to note, not just is this really cool, but it's also reframing the billing reminder. So a lot of people will panic about sending these, but this is a way to drive excitement. It's about building on their existing habits and ritual and holding the customer accountable ultimately to what they actually signed up to getting results from your products. So not just is the concept cool to add products to their existing subscription, but it's also an excellent way to reframe and drive accountability in the customer and switching it to something exciting as opposed to fear-based that results in a negative action from the customer. Let me just show you another quick example here from a different brand so you can see you can easily add things to the order. Really, really cool. And if you are selling subscriptions in bulk, well, this is a great way as well. Let's say if someone reaches that third order threshold and you want to juice the lifetime value and improve cash flow, why not offer to upgrade them from a 1-month supply to a 3-month, like you see in this example? So this is also doable within the actual email itself. So it's about setting this up at the right time. I actually set them up for lots of clients right in the beginning from the very first order. But obviously, if you want to be more bullish when you get to that third order and the retention curve flattens and churn risk really goes down, then this will be the logical point to start trying to add products into the mix. You can run holdout tests as well to just make sure it's incremental, but a very, very powerful and cool way to reframe that billing reminder from something negative to something that's exciting and positive for the customer. A massive point of leverage for your brand.
So now you know how to communicate with your active subscribers. Let me know what you thought of the video, whether you agree or disagree with the strategies based on your own experience. In my experience, this is the biggest point of leverage, is knowing when to go in and try to drive those upsells, because ultimately this is one of the most powerful ways to generate millions of dollars in incremental revenue without going back to paid acquisition sources. Work with the raw materials that you already have, identify who the best customers are, and know when to communicate those cross-sell and upsell opportunities to them. I guarantee this will add a lot of money to the bottom line. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you around on the next one. Thanks for watching.